we have started to move compost in order to seed broadbeans. This is the amount of water that we still have left from the last rain, which is certainly some 3 weeks ago. Well, this is the area where the cows have been and the pigs, and we did some kind of a deep bedding. Of course it wasn't very deep, but the whole thing did the job, and as you can see we have a lot of material to scoop up. The guy who delivers the straw to us has been wondering what are we up to, and was considering our use of the straw waste. Well, this is how the waste looks like now. This is almost black gold. Of course it's not fully composted, but it is in an advanced stage, and it should certainly help those broadbeans along. So we made an investment and turned material into a processed good that will then be the input for another system. And here in this area we also have these guys, and if I'm not mistaken there will be beetles later on, some sort of. Not the dung beetle that we probably should have, but we don't, but some other type. In any case, that is what shows up, and if I move around you will see there is another one. Here is also one. There in the distance there are a few, and right here there's more of them. So this is all working out very well, but it's an uncommon practice here in this area. But I don't mind. If it works for us, that's good enough. Now that the pigs are out and the sun is out, there is some green coming up. This of course is just the same stuff that was here before, and it's not really forage, so we definitely need to make some changes and bring in some more seeds, because the seeds are either of the wrong type or the right ones are gone. But at least the area is starting to recover, and we just need to make a little bit more of the good things. And this is how it looks from a shorter distance. So there's something going on, but like I said, it is only a few plants, and this type of grass that comes up here that won't grow very tall, and it's not really forage. But we are doing this in order to improve, and soon we will put in some additional water retention features, swales, ditches here in this area on contour, to avoid the runoff that goes here to the right towards that funnel that will then leave our land there at the fence and cross over the neighbor's land and then come back to us. But we don't want it to leave this area, we want to make use of it. So this is an interesting site. Might be a wild boar or an escaped Iberian pig. Looks like it went down and out of sight. So now I wonder what I see here. Is this wild pigs? Or is this pigs at the neighbor's land? And we had them here on our side. That needs some more investigation. So these pigs definitely are right here on our piece. They are in front of the fence. So I would think this is not wild pigs. This is pigs that have escaped. And there in the distance there are more. So let's approach. Komm, bleib bei mir. Bleib bei mir.
Stay with you.
Genau.
With you.
Wir lassen die Kamera laufen, damit wir sehen, was da passiert.
And it happened.
So yeah, it is very clear. They are not where they are supposed to be, and those are Iberian pigs. If they were wild boars, they would have already run away. Ah, and I know why. Because the spot there, that is their mother.
Well, it's their mother.
So that was pretty clear. They were small enough and they made a hole underneath the fence. So here we have the hole. they lifted it up, and that is how they come in and leave.
It's their mother.
So now that we are up here because of those pigs in the background, I can show you a little bit what the next area we need to improve is. This is still altiplano, and you can see that there are some young oak trees and also the Spanish type of lavender, which happens to be this one here, and a lot of stones and only a few grasses, and it looks pretty dry. But then if you look at the tree here, you see under the tree there is some nice grass, and the same can also be seen if I pan around. And sorry for the wind, picked up again, but here you can definitely see a lot of very nice looking grass under the tree and in the shade. And of course it receives water every morning when the frost is thawing, and then drips to the ground. That is why this looks so lush, and that is what dehesa means. So you have a lot of this, and then you also have a lot of good grass. But in an open area like here to the left, there are the trees missing. And of course these guys here, they will grow, but it will take 100 years until they then improve the area. But you can also see, and I think that is because of mycorrhizal fungi, that around those, so if I come closer and there's not so much shade, including my own, it's better to see. So you see around those trees there is definitely more green, because somehow they have a symbiotic relationship. And you can see this with that one here, and the next one also shows the same effect. And here with better light you can also see that right there under the tiny little canopy, the leaves, there's also more grass. The leaves are longer and it's clearly visible. So this is a little system that sustains itself by making use of the condensation. So condensation is an important water source in the Mediterranean climate. That is what I learned. And if I raise the camera and zoom in there, see, this is another group of trees. Again, there's grass. And in the open area it looks different, so we need to improve that. And while I am standing here, those guys, they are kind of waiting to come over again, because there are some acorns here, and that is what they're up to. So we need to fix that hole in the fence. Here's some update on the seed mix that we distributed into the straw. It is coming along, but of course without a lot of rain and low temperatures, not much can be expected. This is the rye in the trenches.
Give it to them. I'll bring this bucket. It's them. My job. Job.
Here in this area we also seeded a little bit into the straw, and if you look closely you can see that it has germinated and is growing. For example, down here you see some green patches between the trees. Of course, this is not the solution, but it's a start. We speculate that this will go to seed, and then seed itself, and step by step, with more overseeding and seeding into straw, this will all turn into a beautiful grassy landscape between the oak trees. And that is what's supposed to be a dehesa. Of course, this will not be the only plants. There is a lot more planned, but of course we cannot do everything at once. And as we have to finish all our fencing, that will then determine where we will establish more trees, shrubs and grasses and other types of crop. Eventually this park will be highly productive, at least that is what I intend to achieve, but this is just the beginning. So don't treat this as the end of all and that's the design and that's it. No, it's not. A lot more is supposed to come, but we need to go at the speed that we can afford in terms of money and people. So if you give me $1 million and 100 people, we can do a lot at once, but nature also needs her time. So we just have to go with the flow. There's no cows around who might drink this water, and despite the fact that for several weeks there has been no rain, but only frost and thaw in the morning, so condensation, this is holding water because the bottom is clayish and there is a little bit of green coming up in the berm, but without seeding, which will happen, there won't be any significant growth. And you see what happens there in the background when we seed? That looks nice. We need to do a lot more of this, and we will. The next job here is going to be to make a gate there to the left where the metal post is. So here in this area, and then we can extend our game to this area here. So the guys will then set metal fence posts, that is the temporary solution, and planks against the existing trees to fence this area in. The fence line will be where the slope begins, so that we have another huge area where we can start to work with cows and straw and the usual game. And later on this area will then be divided so that eventually we end up with about 80 of those 5,000 square meter paddocks. A while ago these rocks have been placed here in order to create a parking spot, but now we have changed our ideas and design for the compound. So we are going to do some construction work here, and in preparation we are going to remove this material. This is in the back of our altiplano, where we're looking down this gully going towards our wild zone E, and soon we need to put in a fence here so that the wildlife does not interfere with our bovines, because there's a risk of transmission of tuberculosis, and that can end up very badly. Now I'm looking for cow 5513, who was in distress. It took a little while to find her, but there she is. She went out to find some shade. And she definitely is a smart girl, because she found some forage there under the tree. Her kid is there in the background in the sun, so that looks very nice. And as you may have noticed, all our cows, the females, have their horns. It is not a common practice in Spain to remove their horns or do something to breed hornless cows. The idea is that they can defend their young. And so here she is, she's looking for forage, while at the same time the calf is there in the sun to stay warm and enjoy and grow from drinking milk, and that is how nature intended this to be. So what we do here is slightly different. It is more similar to ranching in the US on the open range, but we do this in an enclosed area of 45 hectares that, in order to do holistic management, we have divided. But in the past, there were no fences at all and no clearly defined properties, so the vaqueros, the Spanish cowboys, have been herding large herds of ruminants like cows, and that is then what also got taken to the United States of America and other places in the Americas. So the cowboy is actually a Spanish thing. It is important to keep that in mind. All these very young oak trees are right beneath a little bit older oak tree, but not very, very old. As you can see, the trunk is pretty slim. So this is basically his offspring. And if I pan across, you will see right here, there is more of that. And based on the sorts that we have here, there is no intention to somehow interfere. We just let this grow, and then we'll see what will happen. The cows, when they come in here, they will browse on it and maybe nibble here and there on it, but that's perfectly fine. And what is strong enough will then grow. But then, of course, the cows only have one opportunity every 30-40 days, so that's not a lot of browsing that can happen. And that is the way how we protect other young oak trees that we have around here.